In this video, I explain a bunch of helpful things that are really important for you to know about your pension. Specifically, I'm talking about defined contribution schemes here. I'm not talking about your final salary defined benefit scheme. I'm Ryan, I'm a chartered financial advisor, and I help people just like you make better informed decisions. First and foremost, there are two key ways to pay into your pension. You have net pay arrangement, also known as relief at source, and then you have salary sacrifice. Salary sacrifice by far is the superior option here, but it depends on which is right for you. The standard one that most people go into is the net pay arrangement, the relief at source, and you typically only get basic rate tax relief. So we're all also enrolled now if you're employed. So what this means is you pay in 4%, your employer pays in 3%, and then you get that extra 1%, which gets you to 8% minimum, 20% tax relief. So if you put in £40, your employer puts in £30, and the tax relief is £10, which is a win-win. So if you think about it, if you're putting 40 in, the effective amount going into your pension is £80. It's like 100% return on your money straight away, and then it can still be invested. Now, the reason I said salary sacrifice is superior is because if you're a higher rate taxpayer, not only do you get that 20%, you also get the additional tax relief because you were taxed at 40%, so there's an extra 20%. You also save on national insurance contributions, but you are giving up a portion of your income. So if you're on £120,000 a year and you whack £20,000 into your pension, great, the full £20,000 goes in. However, your salary on a mortgage calculation is now only £100,000 a year, and you might not be able to get the type of property you were hoping for. There's other benefits and there's other cons to each scheme, but the salary sacrifice is better from a mathematical perspective of getting more for your money. The biggest issue I see when it comes to your pension is quite literally default funds. Those funds typically, a study was done, 26 out of 29 workplace funds underperformed even the average benchmark it was being benchmarked against, which means if your money is to be invested for the next coming decades, it's underperforming significantly. And even just an extra 1 to 5% a year can make a significant difference as it compounds over the coming decades. You want your money to work harder. You can afford the natural ups and downs, the fluctuations of the market, and you're not going to be touching that money for decades. If you're in your 20s, you're probably not going to touch your pension until your late 50s or 60s. That's the harsh reality here. So you can afford to take a bit more risk. Depends on who you are. This isn't advice in this circumstance. If you want financial advice, book a free consultation with me. But the video is not about me, it's about you and it's about your pension. So what I urge you to do as a checklist is find out which type of pension scheme you're on, see which one is better for you financially, net pay arrangement or the salary sacrifice, then look into your default fund. Log in. Most people don't even log into their workplace pension. They're very disinterested. If you don't know what a pension is and you're already into this video, we're like 3 minutes in, please click the link. There's a video here where I literally explain what a pension is. But what I want you to do is look at the default fund. I want you to look at the 5-year performance history of that fund. And you want it to be somewhat more decent than its benchmark. So it'll have a benchmark on how it ranks against itself. And then you can look at the other type of funds that are available to you. With most workplace pensions, you don't have access to the whole of market as you would if you have a SIP where you've set it up yourself, you've chosen a provider and you choose the funds. There's like over 4,000 funds you can choose in your pension. But most workplace pensions maybe have 4, 8, maybe 30. I think the most I've seen is maybe 60 or 70 funds. And yes, you're going to have to go through those. The key things you're looking at is diversification, so different geographical locations, different industries and sectors. But the key thing is looking at the 5-year performance or 10-year performance and going, how does that stack up to the broader market? So if you look at a global index fund, or you look at a more American-based S&P 500, I'm not recommending buying into that. But what I'm saying is you need to benchmark and go, if the market goes up by an average of X every 5-10 years, and I'm not going to touch this for the coming decades, if you're getting close to retirement, it's a different conversation, then you can afford to take more risk, typically. The other key thing here is that the type of pension your employer will put you in might be something called lifestyling, where the provider knows your age and the type of risk you're in will start to pivot downward as you get closer to your retirement date. And so if you're a person that's maybe in their 40s or 50s, they will put you in an extremely underperforming fund because you may access it in the next decade or so, which is smart and understandable, but it means if you don't actually plan to retire that long, or you've got a higher appetite for risk, you're missing out on tens of thousands of pounds of better returns in those coming years. And that can make a real impact on your life. On screen, I've just put, £100,000 and I've put it at a 4% return for the coming 20 years and a 8% return for the coming years. If we look at a global index fund, it does an average of 9 or 10% over a 20, 30 year period. So this is probably a good like for like comparison to what you're missing out on if you're in underperforming funds.